Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video I'm going to go through a recent wolf commission, so I'll go through a couple of the processes that I did to make it, so stay tuned. So as usual, I'm starting off with my resin wolf cast that I have sculpted, molded and cast in resin, and this wolf is due for an update really, so I'm going to probably retire this sculpt pretty soon because the mold's starting to disintegrate and just get a bit old. So I will be sculpting a new wolf face and hopefully it turns out how I want it to, because I really quite like this wolf face. I know everyone seems to think it's a fox, but it's a wolf, it's not a fox. So I hope to do that in the next couple of months, is have a new wolf sculpt. So I'm starting off using some Chromacryl acrylic paint and just painting around the eyes, the nose and the mouth area, and I've also primed the resin too. So I'm going to be painting the iris area in this Halo Blue Gold paint by Lumiere Jacquard, and it just gives it a nice shimmery texture. I don't know why it's called blue gold because it's clearly green, but I guess sometimes in certain lights it can look blue, but to me it looks a bit green. So the customer wanted a sort of recreation of one of my older dolls, but I don't actually remake any of my old dolls, just so whatever dolls that people have stay one of a kind. So I sort of changed it up a little bit and made it its own sort of thing, but using the same colour tones and yeah, just doing a couple of different things as well. So right now I'm just painting in the pupil area using a dry brush, and I just basically build on layers. I have a video in one of my playlists on how to paint eyes. Alright, and the same deal with the paws, so I'll probably have to remake all of these. I do actually like these paws, I think they turned out really well, but probably have to remake the mold. I do have the original sculpture because I originally did it out of Sculpey, so I still have that with me back when I used Sculpey and not Monster Clay. So I'm just covering the whole foot in a black Chromacryl paint again, and because the feet are going to be black, so I'm going to paint it all up. So this is the fur that I'm going to be using under the belly area, and it is quite long. It's a nice white, long, thick pile faux fur. It's a little bit longer than the rest of the fabric, so I will have to trim it a little bit. So as you can see, I've drawn out my pattern for the underbelly, not including the legs because I'll be attaching those as they will be black. So this is the underbelly bit. And this is the fur that I'll be using for the rest of the body. It is a really nice orangey colour. It's the same colour that I used for the previous wolf that I made as the reference. Yeah, I really like this. I have a little bit left, so I'll be cutting out the side patterns, not including the legs as well, because they will be black. Using a small pair of sharp scissors, because I find that works the best. I don't like using a knife or anything because I find it frays the edges too much and it makes it a bit stretchier, so I don't really recommend using a knife. I don't like it, but yeah, small pair of sharp scissors is the best thing that I've used. And this is the fur that I'm going to be using for the legs, and it's the same length as that white fur, but will need to be trimmed anyway, and I only have a little bit of this fur left, so luckily I had enough to do the rest of the legs. So once I've done all of that, cut it out, pinned it up, and I sew it up on the sewing machine, most of the bits anyway. I leave the legs open and the back end open as well, and that way I can flip the body the right way around and feed in my armature. So I go around with a little pair of scissors and cut some slits in it so the body can move a little bit better. So here's what we have once it's been flipped the right way around, and I realise it looks exactly like a red fox, but I assure you the original wasn't a red fox. I actually have a video on my channel of the original one, so if you just go back, it's called Keen the Firewolf. If you go back there you can see what the inspiration was for this particular doll. So now I can go ahead and feed in the armature. It is a wire armature in this doll, and attach all the pieces. So I am working on some paid tutorials about making a wire armature and attaching the resin pieces to it, and a couple of other ones as well. So I think there's 5 or 6 all up. I haven't remembered how much there are. So I'm halfway through most of them, so I hope to have them up in the next few months as well. So once everything's inserted and fed through all the holes, I then sew everything up using a ladder stitch and glue it up using some tacky fabric glue. And I have a ladder stitch tutorial on my channel. If you just go to the Materials 101 playlist, it should be in there, and you can check out how I sew up my faux fur pieces with a ladder stitch. So once that has been done, I then fur the face, and this is what it looks like when it's been freshly done with and a little bit of shading. So I'm just going to add some little details, and I'm using some fabric paint, and just dabbing it on with a brush, but then I move over to a fabric pen because I find it works a little bit better and leaves a neater line. So I've pretty much run out of these fabric pens, but someone actually bought me some and sent them over to me from America, which is very kind. So I have a little bit left, but for little details like this, I just like to use a fine tip point because it gets a bit more detail and a bit of sharper line in anything that you want to paint. And then moving over to adding some details along the back of the wolf itself. So you can airbrush this. I like to do little brushes for little things like this, so I don't have to clean the airbrush out, and it is a lot faster doing it this way as well. And I use that same fabric paint by Jacquard as well. So every paint seems to be by Jacquard or Chromacryl, so they're pretty much the only ones that I use. I like to keep it a bit messier just so it looks more natural. And here's the final wolf and what he looks like. So commissions are pretty much full up for the rest of this year, and I'll be taking them again next year. But I have a few dolls looking for homes in my shop on my website, creaturesofnat.com. And that is it from me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. If you have any video requests, you can leave it in the comments down below. You can also check me on Instagram and Facebook at Creatures of Nat, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!